There you go. I've been looking to.
You're all set? All right,
We're live.
this is a good evening. This is a regular scheduled meeting of the Business, Economic and Development Committee. Today is Wednesday, February 19th, 2025. It is 5:16. We have a couple of items for this meeting. Voting members for this committee are Councilor Fish, Councilor Hawes, Councilor Leonard, and Councilor Mallard. We are also joined by Councilor Chair Pelletier, Councilor Dean, and I forgot to introduce myself, Councilor Rick Fournier. First up on the agenda, and we are always joined by Economic Development Director Dan Creed. First up on the agenda is the housing study that we looked at the last time.
Yep. There were a few changes that the group had asked to be made, most notably on page 11, the nurses and the cashiers that to flip that information of their income. So I know there's still some typos that we need to fix, but the substantive changes were made from what you had requested at your last meeting.
Thank you. Questions, comments? Councilor Mallard?
Yeah, I have two changes for you in case you missed them, which is possible because every time I look at it, there's something different. It's page 6, last paragraph. It says a national twice, and I don't know if you meant to or not.
Okay.
And on page 12, there's 10,000 in the sentence, and I think it should have a dollar sign.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't go any further than that, so.
Okay.
Sounds good. Any other Councilor Leonard?
Just one thing, and please correct me if this was actually mentioned in the document. In a earlier study that we did, there was a heavy allusion toward development of more housing to help the needs of our largest employer, East Main Medical Center. Was that extrapolated on further in this? I didn't see any mention of that.
I think there is some mention of it. I don't remember what page. But that, I mean, they had, as part of their stakeholder meetings, they had met with the hospital, to talk about, their needs for housing.
I assume it got dumped into more of the like single housing and.
Correct.
Okay, so I just, because like that was a big discussion on top of also trying to create more housing for younger Gen Z minded individuals. So I just want to make sure that was also in there as well. But thank you if I overlooked that.
Thank you. Anything else? If not, I'd like to get a motion to accept the report.
So moved.
Thank you.
Second.
We have a motion. We have a second. See no doubt. Move that on to the council. Next up, Northern Border Regional Commission.
Yep, last fall, our Economic Development Officer, Brigida Hernandez-Smith, had come to you to ask permission to seek funds from, looking for other funds for the Central Kitchen Project. There's a Catalyst program with the Northern Border Regional Commission. And so we were able to make application and received $500,000. It's not clear if, what may or may not be in danger of being provided at this point, but we do have our acceptance of that fund. So we're watching it carefully.
Councilor Hawes.
I know you mentioned in here, you're still considering other sites. For
Correct.
potentially.
That you had asked
moving
us to,
that.
yes.
Is that also taking into consideration, Senator Baldacci said he was asking for a certain amount of money also for a kitchen to go in the cargo area.
Yeah, that was one of the parameters that you had directed us to look closer to the airport, so perhaps we could coordinate with the airport. So Brigida has been meeting with the airport director to, to talk about that. Is there a way that we could make this work together? And that actually adds, to some funding issues as well, which is great.
I would assume he would keep us updated
Yeah,
as he learns things about that, and that will
we
help.
hope to have an
with the
update at your next
decision.
meeting. Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Other questions, comments? I was just gonna say, so this has been granted, we're just
Granted.
hopeful to get the money soon.
And
Be
we'll
happy to get
accept it.
a motion.
I'll
So
move
moved.
accept.
We have a motion, we have a second.
Mhm.
Being no objections, that will move on to council as well. Super.
We have an executive session.
Yes, we do. Would you like to make that motion?
Why should? I move that we go into executive session, one MRSA, section 4056C, disposition of real property or economic development. And there's one item under there.
Correct.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second. We have to do a roll call vote. Councilor Fish,
Yes.
Councilor Hawes.
Yes.
Councilor Leonard,
Yes.
Councilor Lawler
Yes.
will be a yes as well.
I assume we're leaving.
All right, we are back out of executive session. I would be happy to accept the motion that we amend the lease and the related documents and we consent to the sublease.
So moved.
Second.
Second,
We
we have a motion, we have a second.
Mhm.
Seeing no objections, that will move on to council next Monday. All right,
Thank you.
I do have one really quick thing. That there have been some citizens who have reached out to me personally regarding some of the growing safety concerns with aviation travel all throughout the country. If it's at all possible, do you think Jose might be able to give us a overall safety review of how things are being conducted, especially after a lot of the FAA letting go of certain employees, because there are citizens that do have, I think, reasonable concerns regarding safety for air control.
Yes, we'll talk to Jose, but I actually had a different item.
All right, we'll coordinate that.
I had something different.
Oh,
The committee chair would be willing.
depends what that item might be.
And,
Yes,
so I got an email here within the last hour or so. The funding that comes through communities that supports permanent supportive housing vouchers and things like that. We're all members of what's referred to as the Continuum of Care, which is a statewide organization. So the Continuum of Care is interested in sending a letter to Senator Collins urging her to help HUD to honor the 2-year notices of funding opportunities that they recently released. As both parts of Congress had already approved all of those. So I don't think it's asking for anything other than what we've already been awarded, if you will, but it reads, we know the dedicated career staff at HUD are working hard to process this funding and get money out the door. However, just late Friday, a judge recognized that agencies can still exercise their authority to pause awards or obligations based on their discretion. Without COC funding, more than 1,200 households across Maine would be at risk of becoming homeless or would stay homeless longer. These homeless households include families with children, youth, people fleeing domestic violence, and veterans. The harm of this funding loss cannot be overstated. Rents would go unpaid. Services would be halted and employment of staff on these important projects would be interrupted or lost. We request that you urge HUD to promptly finish processing fiscal year 24 COC homelessness funding and distribute these critical dollars to homeless service providers in Maine and nationwide. That was the request.
so are they focusing on Senator Collins because of appropriations?
Yes, I believe
Okay,
so.
so it wouldn't make sense to go to King or Golden. Okay, Council Pelletier.
So I'm sorry, just to clarify, those funds have not been distributed. Were they part of the pause and they were unpaused? What happened?
I really don't know, because I can tell you from our perspective, we haven't had a pause on our funding. We've continued to be able to draw down our funds. Our
But the
permanent supportive
main
housing,
state continuum of care
yes,
is saying that they're not able to access their funds.
they are not. They are saying that there is a judgment that recognized agencies can exercise authority to pause awards or obligations, to pause the release of funds. What they're urging is don't allow that to happen, allow those funds to continue to flow. To my knowledge, no such funds have been paused at this point.
So we are not seeing at this point
Nope.
in Bangor
Nope.
any lack of access to federal dollars as it comes to supporting people with housing.
Yep.
Okay,
And you haven't had any issues
haven't.
with
no, we
CDBG
did a
drawdowns,
drawdown.
so we've been able to access our federal funds.
Council
Okay.
Fish.
It's my understanding that it's a just proactive way to send the message that should the pause come up for her,
Correct.
that she understands that we're encouraging her.
Correct.
Other questions, comments?
can we
You want
send
a
it in
motion?
all capital letters?
As long as, it would be great if you did have a motion that you would authorize the city to sign on to something like this, because we are gonna sign it as the city of Bangor.
I'd be happy to accept the motion.
So,
We have a
Second.
motion, we have a second. Any doubts?
I'd be happy, but I'd like to see it in writing before I say how happy I'll be.
I'm happy to forward the copy to you all,
And I think it's
but I
hard
need
to
to
ask
do
us
it
to
tomorrow,
say yes
so-
if we don't really have it.
Yeah,
Like I might.
I understand that. I take it there must have been.
They wanna know ASAP, this is
Yeah.
time sensitive,
Um,
and I got this at 3:46.
Yeah. So I'm happy to move forward, just on the basis that we've been very supportive of this in the past, so, we have a motion, we have a second. Unless there's a doubt, we'll move forward.
Okay, and I will also send you a copy. I will also share with you that the other agencies that have been asked, all of us are members of the main COC. Are City of Bangor, Community Care, Kennebec, Behavioral Health, Maine Coalition and Domestic Violence, Maine Safe Housing, New Beginnings, Ojai, Penquist Cat, Preble Street, State of Maine, Through These Doors and Volunteers of America, Northern Ireland. Those are the agencies listed.
Great.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for letting me warn it.
Any other items that want to come up?
I don't know what came in at 4:46,
Okay.
so I'm still on 3:46.
All right,
Thank you.
so I guess we're good.